Okay, so thanks for waiting. So hi everybody, I'm Mathilde Gobet from the Aerospace Valley. I'm in charge of the international part of ActInSpace. So thanks to be here today for the WEkEO challenge webinar. So WEkEO is one of our international sponsors for this fourth edition of ActInSpace. So today they are here to, so our international expert is Marta Bertran. She's here to present you the WEkEO challenge and its society. So first I'm going to make a little introduction of what is ActInSpace, and then I'm going to give the floor to Marta for her presentation, and then we will realize a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So please feel free to ask all your questions in the question box during the session. Thank you. So ActInSpace have been created in 2014 by the CNES. It's co-organized by ESA and it's operated by Aerospace Valley. So since the beginning of ActInSpace, 35 startups were created and are still supported by our international partners since the first edition. So the timeline of ActInSpace. So ActInSpace were created in 2014, but it was just a French edition, gathered 12 cities of France. So the first international edition was in 2016 with 12 countries, 24 cities, 900 participants, and 40 startups were created. So the second one was in 2018. So 32 countries were gathered, 54 cities, 2,200 participants were there, and 18 startups were created. And for this edition, so we are almost 50 countries from the 5 continents. We have almost 100 cities. We are waiting about 3,000 or 4,000 participants, and we hope that more than 35 startups will be created at the end of this first edition. So what is the goal of ActInSpace? So during 24 hours, the teams come together to work on challenges based on technology and data from space in order to invent the new technologies and services and innovation of tomorrow. So ActInSpace goal is also to dream to become a future entrepreneur, is also to highlight the space sector and its daily impact on our society. It's also to contribute to the social economic growth and the startup creation, which is a big way of our society also. And also to create a cooperation between the space and non-space company and make the patent licensing more accessible to all the participants of ActInSpace. So where did the ActInSpace challenge come from? So the CNES had the space patent hidden away for a long time, and they didn't know how to use them. So they decided to make them accessible to all the participants of ActInSpace. The idea was to develop, as I said before, the space and non-space sectors and company and collaboration. So Airbus just joined ActInSpace as a sponsor, and they decided to contribute to this patent with data, and that's how the challenges were created. So the real bonus of ActInSpace is by joining the event, you will have a complete access to the CNES patent. And if your goal is to create or develop a startup, and then you will be followed and you will have access to this patent even after the event. So thank you. I will now give the floor to Pierre in order to help Marta for the diffusion. Thank you. So now you can share your screen, Pierre.
Thank you. Hello, welcome to this WEkEO webinar. I'm Marta Bertran from Mercator Ocean. In this webinar, I will introduce you to WEkEO and I will present the challenges for the ActInSpace Hackathon 2020. First, we will see what is WEkEO and what can you do with WEkEO. Then I will explain briefly how to register and access the data. We will also discover how we can compute and transform data while using WEkEO. And then we will focus on the ActInSpace challenges and the WEkEO prize for this hackathon. Finally, I will briefly introduce you on how to use the user support and how you can join us on social media and find more information about WEkEO. So, let's see, what is WEkEO? WEkEO is an European cloud platform where users can access Copernicus data for free and request processing resources to work with this data on the cloud. EUMETSAT, CNWF and Mercator Ocean have joined their experience and skills to build up this data and information access system. WEkEO is ideas. And what can you do with WEkEO? In WEkEO, you can register and access for free the following. You can search for data, you can download data, and you can also promote your business and services on the marketplace. All these are for free, and the type of data that is available is Copernicus data. Apart from this, you can also try the computing resources that are in a cloud infrastructure. There are free trials available that I will present later, but most of these services are not for free. Apart from this, you can also interact with the user support. Let's see now how can you register to WEkEO. The registration at WEkEO is free. There are two types of registration, the essential registration and the advanced registration. What includes the essential registration is the discovery of datasets, the download, Jupyter notebooks to work with this data, and the user support. For this hackathon, it may be possible that you also need the advanced options that are usually included in the advanced account, but some of them also have free trials. This advanced registration includes, apart from the discovery of datasets, the download of data, and the Jupyter notebooks, there is the user support, the virtual machines, processing tools, and free networking. We'll see later all of this in more detail. Well, for the essential registration, you can go to the WEkEO website, find the tab Register, and in this page, the mandatory information are the email address, the username, a password, and some more data. In the advanced registration, you can also indicate the type of subscription. You can indicate that your the plan size, what do you want to do with the platform, and the Copernicus data that you need. Once you have created your WEkEO account, you can access the data available. As I explained before, the search for data in WEkEO is free. One of the advantages of the data access in WEkEO is that data is not a copy. At WEkEO, you can access updated and timely Copernicus data directly from the original sources. As explained before, WEkEO is being developed by CNWF, Mercator Ocean, and EUMETSAT. And all of them work with Copernicus data. Apart from this, another advantage of WEkEO is that it offers a harmonized data access, and there is the WEkEO REST-based single protocol that allows you to scale and evolve your code, integrating all data sources. Let's see an overview of the data available at WEkEO. But you can of course go to the catalog and search for more detailed data and search the parameters of your interest and all of that. I will show you later how to do it. For the moment, we have these thematic areas, And we have data related to climate, to atmosphere, marine and land. Take all of these thematic areas into account, because this will be very related to the challenges that I will present later for this hackathon. Some examples are here below. So we have data for climate related to temperature, glaciers, humidity. Regarding atmosphere, there is data about aerosols, CO2, reactive gases, and so on. From the marine data from Copernicus, we have carbons, waves, salinity, and for land, there is data about vegetation, land cover, water bodies, among many others. To search for data, there is a viewer in which you can see the layers. You can select layers and display the data of your interest. So I'm very quickly show how to search for data sets and how to display them on the WEkEO website. So first, what you can do is to add a layer to see the data set, to search for data sets. And once you click to the layer, there is a free text search or filters for an extended search. In this example, there is the filter selected has been the Mediterranean Sea, and there are several results, several data sets that appear. If we select one of these data sets, WEkEO provides you with some dataset descriptions, dataset ID, the temporal and spatial information, and this can be very useful while you think of your idea for the challenge. You don't need to download all the datasets. What is recommended is first to analyze, to read what is available on WEkEO, and investigate what datasets can be the most appropriate for your application. So here what you can do is read this kind of descriptions, and you can also try to see more parameters once you select them. So let's see what happens if we select this dataset, for example, of the Mediterranean Sea. As I said, you have the option later on to select more detailed variables. And below you can see how it is, how does it look like on the map. Now let's take a look on how to download data. So let's say that the dataset selected before, the one we searched about the Mediterranean Sea, is the one that is useful for our application. Then we can see how to download it. To download data, we are in the same screen as before. So we have selected one dataset and it is displayed on the viewer. And there is this button to select the parameters. So in this case, you can select the area of interest, the coordinates, and even the timeline, like the time and the date and the start and end dates in the timeline. Here you have much more details on how to do it. You set your area of interest, or you type the parameters on the bounding box, and then you can select this button to request the data. Once you request the data, it appears like a file to download it locally, and you can do that. So once you download the data, you can use additional software to display this data on your computer. In this case, in this example, Panoply I think was used, and this is an option, but you really don't need to download the data. You can work with this data on the cloud. So let's see what are the other options. So the other option is like if you don't really need to download the data locally in your computer, you can show the API request as selected here on the button on the left. This API request has all the parameters included, and this information can be copied, this code can be copied to be used in the Jupyter Hub or in virtual machines. I remind you that there are Jupyter notebooks available in your Jupyter Hub, in your Essential account, and you can already work with your data there, or you can also work with this data on the virtual machines. So now let's see this in more detail. So the compute and transform of data is not free of charge, but there are free trials, as I said, and there is this option of the Jupyter notebooks that is accessible for free. So here there is an example of a guide on how to access the data. on WEkEO by using the Jupyter Hub. And here you can modify the parameters and add here for example where it says that dataset ID, you can type the dataset of your interest and modify the parameters in order to work with the data. This is a very quick example, and there are of course more tutorials available that explain in much more detail how to use the Jupyter notebooks. So for now I'm going to focus on the cloud-based processing resources. There are several types of environments that have different sizes or different RAM, storage. So here you have an overview of all the parameters and the prices, and also the free trial associated to this price. And for the challenges, you can of course try the trial periods. So don't worry about requesting for an advanced plan, because you can it might be useful for your application, but it may be that you don't need it. So it's up to you in the end if you only need the data, if you need the virtual machines, or if you need the Jupyter notebooks. It may be you need all of them. So let's see much more detail how this works. So there is a dashboard in which you can access and see your virtual machines. And once you access by using SSH access, for example, you can process your data. So well, this was a very quick overview of WEkEO. There is much more things to discover. There is a very extended catalog with a lot of different data sets. And there, as I said before, there are more tutorials and videos that go in much detail, and webinars that go in detail to these features of the Jupyter notebooks, of the data sets, and how to use WEkEO in general. So now I'm going to present the challenges, the WEkEO ActInSpace challenges that are focused on Earth observation and that are also published on the ActInSpace website. So the objectives for these WEkEO challenges, are mainly two. The challenges suggested are to build educational resources about the Earth. So, but the public that will be addressed is different. So we have the objective is to provide keys to understand and protect the environment around us, and we have two different challenges. So one of them is focused on the Earth observation data for kids. So the idea is to raise awareness about the Earth and the environment among young people, so kids between 4 and 12 years old. And the other challenge that is different is the Earth observation data for citizens. So in this second case, the idea is to raise awareness among adult citizens, and the application should have the maximum impact as possible on the general public. These challenges, in order to work on these challenges, you have to take into account the following. So it is necessary that you use the cloud infrastructure of WEkEO in order to develop your idea, and it is particularly welcome the use of artificial intelligence or machine learning. Apart from this, you have to make use of WEkEO data, including at least 2 or 3 thematics among the following: land, climate, marine, and atmosphere. All of these have also been mentioned at the beginning because there are all different datasets. There are different datasets about all of these thematics on WEkEO. Then, as part of this challenge, the application that you develop, it can be in a form of a video game, an interactive application, or any other format that you consider that fits these requirements. And it can include data visualization, hardware, it can be mobile or web app. And in the business sectors of the ActInSpace hackathon, it is included in internet IT, IoT, and environment. The prize for this hackathon is the following that I'm going to present. and it is an Earth observation prize. That's WEkEO will promote your app on WEkEO website and social media. In order to start using WEkEO and to work with WEkEO during the hackathon, you can contact the user support. The advantage of WEkEO is that the user support is based on experts from the 3 institutions from EUMETSAT, ICNWF, and Mercator Ocean that have a lot of experience on Copernicus and Earth observation data. So in order to work with your virtual machine, to start using Jupyter notebooks, and even during the event, you can contact the support. There are 2 ways in general to contact the user support. One of them is by sending a message through the web form available at wekeo.eu, or you can alternatively send an email to support@wekeo.eu. Finally, I encourage you to join us. You can visit the WEkEO portal, wekeo.eu. You can check the Twitter account. And again, you can also check the service desk and contact, and you can also provide your feedback and so on. Apart from this, there is a YouTube channel where you can also see several videos and webinars in order to get started with WEkEO.
Okay, so Marta, I have some questions. Do we need to use the virtual machine necessarily, or do we have to make a complete mobile application, or till where?
Well, one of the requirements for the prize is to use the cloud resources. So I would say yes, it is necessary to use a virtual machine, but of course you can create an application using WEkEO without having to request a virtual machine and to actually enter the virtual environment. You could, of course, build a mobile application or a web application using Copernicus data from WEkEO, but you don't really need to use the virtual machine. But for the requirement of the prize, it is encouraged to use the cloud resources. So in that case, it could be the virtual machines.
Okay, thank you. Can WEkEO data predict the climatic condition of different places accurately up to 50 years?
Well, so what kind of data are we talking about? Like to predict
the climatic condition, like if the paper Jitlin, if can you precise your question, please, so we can better answer it. For the next one, how much year in the past and future range can Copernicus data predict for the climate? Okay,
well,
so I think it's quite about the same question.
Yes, I can give a general answer for that, for both questions. And if they have, if the participants need much more detailed information, they can contact the user support, as I said during the presentation. But in fact, the precision of the data and the length of the data in time, the years that are available of data depends on every data set and depends on the originating source. So, I mean, it's not up to WEkEO directly. It depends if the data set was generated by the Copernicus Marine Service or by the C3S or different services in Copernicus. So in that case, you have to go to each data set, and for each variable, you can check if it lasts for 10 years, if there is only information available for 2 years, and the same with the areas, if it covers the global, if it's global, the coverage, or if it's specific per allocation.
Okay, thank you. What all information can we show in the presentation? And we do not have any business members in our team. How can we get those? This is a question for ActInSpace. So I just don't understand what all information can we show in the presentation. If the question is will it be available for replay? The answer is yes. And to find business members, you can update your team a team presentation on the website, and people will find you if you tell them that you're looking for a business people. Do you have any more questions? Yes, Sefton, we will be able to find you, send you the presentation after that. What is the format of the data available at WEkEO?
The format of the data can be also depending on the source of the originating source and the type of satellite the data is coming from, and also the thematic. And in every different case, and if you go checking every data set, you can find that some data are in the format of NetCDF, and like the extension of the file is NC. Other times it's like images, and it's a matter of checking every data set and finding the format, and you will find, of course, ways to download it and to process the data. And as I said, using Python and similar programming languages, you won't have problems to access data.
Thank you so much. Do we have to show only the blueprint of the app?
The shoulder?
The blueprint. So like the general structures of the app. I think it's for the price, I would say.
I think it's much more focused on the price, like the evaluation of the price. I'm not sure about the specific question for that, but we forwarded the guidelines of the price to Aerospace Ballet. So in case you cannot find all the information there, please contact us and we will complete it. But I would say that as much information as you can provide, the better. Like we usually expect like a PowerPoint presentation, videos, and a demo of the app. Everything can help to have a better understanding of the application. So in the case of the blueprint, I'm not sure if it's a requirement itself, but maybe it's something that helps.
Okay, thank you. I think we have a last question. What are the resources available to learn about how to use WEkEO?
Well, we have several resources available, as I already mentioned in the video, and these resources are webinars, but they are also guides that are available on our website. And there you have a detailed step-by-step documents that you can check during the hackathon or before, in order to be ready of what you can do to be prepared. And in the YouTube channel as well, there are several tutorials, videos, and they are also specific for thematic areas. So some of them are more focused on atmosphere, others on marine data. So I really recommend you check additional sources of information, because it might help you to redefine what you need for your application and to prepare for these challenges.
Okay, and do we have to show the coding of the mobile application as well? I think it's going to be the last question.
Well, I'm not sure if you have to show the code itself of the application. Again, I would say it's something much more on the hackathon organization and depending on the requirements of the prize. So I cannot fully answer the question. Maybe it's not necessary. So like in other hackathons, it's not always necessary in other events. I'm not sure for the ActInSpace, if you like from Aerospace Ballet or from the ActInSpace in general, do you have this as a requirement or not?
No, it's much more focused about finding having a general plan of how you are going to use the data or the technology you had to a commercial applications. That's the main goal of ActInSpace. So It's most focused on what is a transfer for one point to another, rather than being very technical.
Yeah, and
okay.
then for
Sorry.
Very quickly, for the WEkEO prize you have in the website of the ActInSpace, you have like the presentation of the challenges, the same as I was mentioning during the video, the two challenges, the Earth observation for kids and the Earth observation for citizens. And you have there like the main, like the general requirements or the general objectives expected for these prize and for these challenges are basically like using WEkEO, trying out WEkEO, and also like using it, we encourage the use of machine learning and all this list that I presented before. And I think that's the main part. And of course, everything that you can add or that you can think is better to add, I think it will be good.
Okay, thank you so much for the explanation. I think it's more clear now for the participants. The replay will be the replay will be available on the YouTube channels of the Connect by CNES, and don't miss the next presentation on about Continental. It is going to be the last webinar before finally the event. So let's keep in touch. Bye bye, everybody.